All right, so today we're going to be doing our right triangle function of any angle. So what that means is that first we have to do our chart, and then we're going to go ahead and fill out the answers from below. So what we need to know first is our chart here. So in class, we're going to go over a great detail of what this is. But on here, I'm just going to show you this is 0, pi over 6, pi over 4. That's the radian measurements of them. And then this one right here is square root of 0 over 2. Which just makes this 1. So this becomes a 1 here. And this becomes 0 up here. But that's the little trick I showed you guys in class. And then this is a reverse answer. So it goes 0. And then tangent is sine over cosine. So 0 over 1 is 0. This divided by this is 1 over radical 3. Radical 3. And this is undefined. So if we're going to find the first ones here, we'd say, what's sine of 30? So you go sine 30 is a half. And cosine of 45, you go cosine 45, radical 2 over 2. Tangent at 0 is 0. Sine of 15, if we go to sine of 15, there's no angles up here, so you can't figure it out. I don't want you to, I put this on here because I don't want you to think that you can just take half of it, because look, 60 degrees is, you don't take half of it to get 30 degrees. So to find out these answers, first thing we do is 3 steps. So the first step I need you to do is to look at chart 1 and tell me if we're going to have a positive or negative. If the letters match, we say positive. If they don't, we say negative. So sine of 200 degrees. So I say, where's 200 degrees? Well, 200 degrees falls down here. Sine and tangent. The T stands for tangent. The way you can remember this is all students take calculus, or some kids go backwards and go ACTs. Whichever way you remember, you just have to remember that chart. So right here is a tangent quadrant, so this is going to be a negative. So tangent of 200 is going to be positive. Cosine of 330. 330 falls down here, so that's a positive. 11 pi over 6, it's almost 1, but not quite. So that's in the C quadrant. That's a negative. 7 pi over 4 is almost 2, but not quite, so it's in the C quadrant. Since secant is the reciprocal of cosine, that's what makes it positive. 2 pi over 3 is almost 1, but not quite, so that puts us in our sine quadrant. So that's also going to be positive because sine and cosecant are reciprocals of each other. So the second thing we need to do is to find a reference angle. So we're going to use chart 2 to get an answer between 0 and 90. So I'm just going to go, so like 193 falls into this quadrant. So I'm going to do angle minus 180 to get the answer. So you would just do 193 minus 180 in your calculator to get 13 degrees. So 220 falls in the same quadrant. So I'm going to do 220 minus 180 to get 40 degrees. 310, now that falls into this quadrant right here. 310 is bigger than 270. You might want to draw this on your angles if you don't know. That's 90, that's 180, that's 270, and this is 360 or 0. So down here, 310 is between 270 and 310, so we're going to follow that rule and get 50 degrees. This is its own reference angle. It's already between 0 and 90, so you found it. So this one is in quadrant up here, so we're going to do angle minus 180, so you get 45 degrees. So if you want to see, you just do angle minus 180 in your calculator, and it will tell you 45. These right here, what's nice about these reference angles is that your reference angle is always whatever's on the bottom, because you see there's only a 2, 3, 4, and 6 up here. So the reference angle is always going to match off this chart. So it has to be that. So 3 pi over 4's reference angle is just pi over 4. Or you could follow the radian measurement, which is that you do a pi minus angle. Sorry, there we go, camera caught up to me. Pi minus angle. So pi minus 3/4 of a pi is 1/4 of a pi. This is pi over 6 because it ends in a 6, and this is pi over 3 because it ends in a 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to do chart 1, chart 2, and then we're going to use this chart right here that we will eventually memorize. So cosine at 315, that matches, so it's positive. Cosine of, I'm going to find my reference angle. So little trick, if this ends in a 5, your reference angle has to be a 45. But we'll follow the chart and show you 315 minus 360 because that's the rule up there. I put that in the wrong order, sorry. So it's 45 degrees. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do cosine of 45 degrees, and that's your answer right there, radical 2 over 2. So my answer is radical 2 over 2. So cosine of 120. So 120 does not match the cosine quadrant, so I'm going to put negative. Reference angle for 120 is 60 degrees. So if you go up to your chart up there, cosine at 60 is a half. So our answer is negative a half. So we already know sine is positive and the reference angle is 60 degrees from over here. So you just need sine of 60 degrees. You're right here, sine of 60. So you're radical 3 over 2. And watch, I'm going to show you something else too. Watch, if I do cosine of 120 in my calculator, it tells me negative 0.5. If I do cosine of 45 in my calculator, oh wait, cosine of 315 in my calculator, watch, square root of 2, oopsie, divided by 2, same answer. So you can check in your calculator and you get the exact same answer. So tangent 225, that's positive. And it's tangent 45. Remember, ends in a 5, it has to be 45. Tangent of 45, it's 1 because these two are the same answer. So when you divide them, you get the same thing out. So tangent of 330 would be a negative tangent of 30 degrees. So that's negative 1 over radical 3. All right, secant at 780. 780 is too big, so I'm going to subtract 360. It's still too big, so I have to subtract 360 again. And I get 60 degrees. So this is equivalent to saying secant of 60 degrees. So because I just had to subtract 360 a bunch of times, whatever angle comes out is what is going to be equivalent to it. So this is just cosine's answer at 60 flipped. So I'm going to take cosine's answer at 60 and flip it. So this is an answer of 2. Let's see if I can do that in the calculator. 1 divided by 1 divided by cosine of 780 degrees. See? 2. All right, cosecant 240. So that's a negative quadrant. Reference angle is 60 degrees. So this is sine's reciprocal. So I'm going to go up to sine of 60, and I'm just going to flip it. So my answer should be negative 2 over square root of 3. All right, for sine of 225, we have to first put it back in the unit circle. So that's where we're going to add 360. So if you see, I get 135. So this is the same question as sine of 135. So this is what I'm going to now do my question off of. So that's positive sine of 45 degrees. And sine at 45 is radical 2 over 2. For radians, you just have to figure out their positive or negative. So 7, 6 is just a little bit over 1. So that puts this in the third quadrant. So cosine is going to be negative there. So we need cosine of pi over 6. So that's cosine of 30 degrees. So right here, there's pi over 6. So cosine at pi over 6 is radical 3 over 2. So we get negative radical 3 over 2. If you want to check these in your calculator, you have to go to mode and switch it back to radians in order to be able to try it. Watch. And if I do negative square root of, see, same answer. All right, so this one here, secant, that this right here is the second quadrant because it's almost 1 but not quite. So we're going to say negative secant of pi over 3. So that's cosine at pi over 3 flipped. So we get negative 2. This is the fourth quadrant. So sine's negative there. So we need negative sine of pi over 6. So pi over 6 was our 30 degrees. So we're going to get negative a half pi over 6. And then if I type that in my calculator, sine, see, negative a half. So this is my third quadrant because it's a little bit bigger than 1. So cosecant is negative there. So I need to take sine's answer at pi over 3 and flip it. So sine at pi over 3 right here is radical 3 over 2. So this is going to be negative 2 over radical 3.